My name is Wesley Pierce, and I'm reporting for Black Asian Magazine, and right now I'm back in the city of Taichung and back at CP Travel, talking to the other half of CP Travel. So for the site, would you first just tell us your name?
Yeah, so my name is Patrick Springer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know where I'm from too?
Yeah,
okay.
Where are you from, where you grew up, and where are you living right now?
Okay, so Patrick Springer, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and moved up north. And right now I'm in Taichung, Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been living in Taichung and also in a broader sense in Taiwan?
Okay, so I've been living in Taiwan since 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved out to Taichung almost exactly 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit over 1 year right now, so I've been in Taichung for a little bit over a year. Like a year and a couple of weeks.
And altogether you've been in Taiwan for about 8 years.
Yeah.
All right, so what prompted you to go away from your home country in the first place and move to basically to the other side of the world?
Yeah, so what got me out here in the first place was my business partner, Carl, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Carl moved out here in 2010, came out here the year before me, and I was still in college. 2011, when I graduated, I get a phone call at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like a Skype call. It's from Carl asking me if I wanted a job. 2011, nobody had jobs back in America.
Yeah,
so I was like,
it was pretty rough at that time.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, cool, sure. He was like, all right, I need you to get this. And if you do it in like 2 weeks, and I got a job for you. So I didn't have anything else to do, and I was just like, well, why not? Let's take this risk. Let's go see what the other side of the world is talking about. Look, 2 weeks after he made the phone call, I was on a plane, one-way ticket coming out to Taiwan. My first time ever abroad too.
Oh really? First time leaving the country?
First time leaving the country was to move
Taiwan.
over here, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a step back before we even get into that in more detail.
Okay.
You said you grew up between St. Louis and Arkansas. Like,
Yeah.
Which place did you grow up in more? And can you try to give us a picture of what it was like where you grew up?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question because I consider both places my home. They're both equally my home. But I spent more time in St. Louis. I really consider my time in St. Louis, Missouri as my formative years.
Right.
It's where I was a teenager. It's where I learned to drive. Well, now I learned to drive in Arkansas. We were just country ass people. But it's where it's where I really like came into my own and developed into my own person before I went to college, because I went to college in Indiana. So I would say you divide my life up into 3 parts, or 4 parts, I guess, now with Taiwan. I have Arkansas, which is where I was born and where I was raised and where I got my adventurous self from. Because in Arkansas, again, like I said, my family's country. So I remember spending summer times going down to my grandparents' farm, or going to my great-grandma's farm, and like watching my dad like cut the whole field, and like my uncles cleaning out like the cow fields, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like that, we some country people, so I'm used to that, and that's a lot of where I get my identity from. Like I'm most comfortable outside in nature all the time, and I think that's from my youth. When I got to St. Louis, again, that's where I started to develop more of my interests, and where more of my talents came up. Because it's, again, where you're going through middle school and high school, right, when you really start to develop on your own. Then when I went to college in Indiana, that's where I started to pursue my major talents, my major interests, which is why I studied art and I studied writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, thank you for sharing that with me. That's pretty rich background. Up to now, so you came directly from America to Taiwan. What other places have you traveled to so far?
Whew, man, that's a lot. You want to name them all?
Yes, we got some time.
Okay, I was about to say it's quite a few. So I'll give a little bit of background for some of the places I think are most interesting. So my first ever trip outside of the country that I wasn't living in. So as soon as I moved to Taiwan, I considered that, here. We went to Thailand for my birthday, right?
Okay.
So very first time, but it blew my mind because my birthday's in November. So normally, like school's going on or something else is going on. So I don't really have like big birthday parties. But we went to Thailand for my birthday, just a weekend trip, and it just blew my mind, this idea of being able to go to a different country for a weekend.
Yeah, and especially because you're in Taiwan, strategically, this country is in like a really sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because you can jump pretty much any other country
To any other country, exactly.
within like 2 hours, 4 hours tops.
Exactly, which is why
it's crazy.
So we went to Thailand, and then a couple months later for Chinese New Year, this year in particular, we had the school I was working at. They gave us 6 weeks off for Chinese New Year. Number one, that just blew my mind. I was getting a 6-week vacation in the middle of the year, but I spent 4 weeks in India. I traveled through India by train, and then I went to Malaysia and Singapore, and that's when I really got hit with the travel bug. And after that, I was everywhere. I've been to South Korea, Hong Kong more times than I can count. Thailand, like all the time. Vietnam, Laos, Australia, New Zealand. There was one year where I went to almost every ocean. Like almost every. The only ocean I didn't make it to was the Arctic. Right. So you have the Indian Ocean, whatever. It doesn't like
Ocean, Atlantic Ocean.
Indian, Pacific. Yeah, like the only one I didn't make it to was the Arctic Ocean. Like in 1 year, and that just blew my mind that I was able to do that. I did a Euro trip for the Olympics, starting in Italy and then slowly working my way up to London. I found plane tickets for $28 and went to Morocco during the same trip. Been to Kenya, which is one of my favorite places that I've been. Most recently, I just got back from Jamaica. Went out there with one of my friends. She was getting married. Most of my travels has been concentrated in Asia. I've been to Dubai, but most of my travels have been concentrated in Asia and a little bit of Europe, I would say. But yeah, the only continents I have not been to are South America and Antarctica, which I'm planning on hitting both of those.
Okay. Yeah. Out of all these different places, which one was your favorite?
Ooh, my favorite country?
Yeah.
Favorite country, Portugal.
Really? Why would it be Portugal?
So when we were doing the Euro trip, Portugal was one of the places that we just kind of tacked on. We just spent a couple days there the first time. So I went there with like not many expectations. And even though I didn't have any expectations, when I got there, it just blew my mind. The city itself, I was in Lisbon. Lisbon, gorgeous city. The streets, if anyone's ever been to Macau? Macau used to be a Portuguese colony. And the style that they have there is very similar to, the exact same as they have in Lisbon. But the streets are tile mosaics. And it's just beautiful, like standing at one end, but like looking down, and you see this giant panoramic view of like some massive artwork. They had these outdoor elevators that you could take to the top and just get beautiful, uninterrupted views of the city. And the way Lisbon is set up, it's on the bay, but it's in like a little bowl, so it's very similar to how New Orleans is kind of situated geographically. But around the rim of it, there are castles. So from this vantage point, you can see you get a beautiful view of the city, but then you get castles all around. Looking out at the bay, you have the longest bridge in Europe that's designed by the same guy who did the Golden Gate Bridge. They had trolleys that were going through it, but beyond just the city itself being beautiful, the people were amazing. The food, some of the best food I've ever had.
Yeah, really.
The music was good, and it's much cheaper. I always recommend Portugal as a place for people to go.
They still use euros in Portugal.
Yeah, they still use euros. It's just cheaper. Yeah, everything. Yeah, because it's not one of Lisbon and Porto, which is again another beautiful city in northern Portugal. But they're not main tourist spots. So when people think of Europe, they want to go to the main places. I want to go to Rome. I want to go to Madrid. I want to go to Paris, London, and throw in a couple places in Germany. Right?
Okay.
But those aren't the main places that people think of, or they don't think of going to Portugal. So they're thirsty for tourism. So things are like much cheaper, but the way of life is also much slower.
More relaxed.
Yeah.
At a slower pace.
Yeah.
All right, got it. Okay. Yeah, interesting stuff.
Love Portugal.
All right, let's move a little bit forward.
Okay.
Let's get to the next question. What kind of work are you doing here right now? Can you describe this in as
Yeah.
much detail as possible?
Yeah, cool. So previously, well, from 2011 up until actually earlier this year, I've been a junior high and high school English teacher.
Yeah.
My main focus though was on curriculum development and international studies, or helping students, helping high school seniors who are here prepare for the SATs, ACTs, and trying to get them into colleges abroad. So in many ways, I was like a college counselor for a lot of the students that I was working with. My main role was to act as the liaison between the students and the universities that they were reaching out to, in addition to teaching them how to, one, prepare for whatever test they had to do, designing a curriculum that was going to make them successful in an American school, but also giving them the cultural knowledge and the cultural wherewithal to succeed and to be, like I said, to be successful in America or in whichever school that they went to. Currently, I just left my job as a teacher once the school year was over, so I didn't just like leave my kids in the middle of the year. But I left to open up this place that we're in right now, Arts&Crafts. It is the brainchild of myself and Carl Hill, my business partner, who also does CP Travels with me as well. But it's our brainchild. We've talked about opening a bar for years. But Arts&Crafts is the first of its kind. It's a local craft beer bar, which is a craft bar. So all we serve are Taiwanese beers, but done by Taiwanese companies. As opposed to doing like Taiwan beer or some of the other big name, the big generic beers they have, we focus on local breweries, distilleries, and we try to get them. The art part, we do art workshops, and this is it's a rotating gallery that we do with the artwork from different, like from local artists and from other expats who happen to be artists that are out here. And we try to get all of the artwork to focus on Taiwanese people.
Okay.
Or people's experiences in Taiwan specifically.
Okay. All right. So where could the artwork that you have on the walls right now, like?
Yeah. So.
Or is just yet to come?
Yeah. Well, some of them actually we'll be putting up a new gallery starting on the 17th. That will be up on the 17th. It's actually one of the photographers. This brother who lives out here. He's been out here for a little while. He just sent in a bunch of photos, so we'll be putting those up. But yeah, some of the pictures that we have now, these are paintings that are done by other local artists. And yes, we have these up. There's another one that's over there on that wall. It's like a long white one with the four black figures in there. So
okay, all right, okay, all right. Moving a little bit forward, big question: how do you feel being a black man living in Taiwan? I think is this the only place that you've lived before, other than the United States,
Yeah.
and like put down roots for the amount of time?
Yeah.
Other places you just visited briefly.
Right.
How do you feel as a black man living here?
I feel powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I know it's a very weighted statement, to say something like that, but I really do. I feel very powerful because again, it's a loaded question and it's also a weighted statement. So I'll do my best to explain. I say powerful because I know that being an American, I'm allowed a certain level of privilege, which is good and it's bad. But as
Why is it bad? How can it be bad?
Well, I mean, you always want to be able to check your privilege. So I know again, when I was teaching, I know that as a teacher I get paid more than my Taiwanese co-teachers, who arguably are at the school longer. And
work longer hours.
They work longer hours. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they deal more closely with the students and the parents. So so you would expect for them to be compensated, more for that work. But because of the standard of living, because of cultural expectations, Americans or foreigners, I don't want you to say American, but foreigners were typically paid a bit more than Taiwanese
counterparts.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I say you gotta make sure I check that privilege and I understand that. But I still say powerful because as an American, I'm allowed certain privileges here. But specifically as a black American, as a black man in Taiwan, when I'm around other Taiwanese people, I feel it's a certain level of respect. And granted, some of that does come out of fear or out of curiosity, but that's not something that we're typically allowed back in America. right? Where as black men, we're normally criminalized or stereotyped or feared, you know, in a lot of situations.
Yeah, by
Out
society
here,
in general.
yeah, but like the fear that we get back in America is usually a fear that translates into danger or aggression. Whereas out here, it's curiosity. It's like, I heard this about you and now I want to know more. There's never been a point where I've been in Taiwan where I felt unsafe.
Yeah.
The same way I would if I was back in America doing the same thing, you know? So that's why I say powerful. I also say powerful because, I don't know, it's a level of freedom, you know, that I get to be able to walk around and to be fully myself.
Yeah.
And again, that you don't get back in America. And I think that goes along with, you know, it goes along with like that privilege and things like that. But no, powerful, like everything, you move differently when you're not scared.
Yeah.
You know? You move differently when you're not nervous. And out here, I'm not nervous. I might be confused about a couple of things, you know, like trying to keep up with Chinese or trying to do this. Yeah. But I'm not nervous. You know, so that's why I say powerful.
You're in a comfort zone out here.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm allowed to be myself however I want to be out here. Whereas in America, you'd be expected to be something else, you know.
Got you. Okay, so in the time you've been out here, what other kinds of jobs or businesses have you seen other black people involved in?
The main thing that I see other black people involved in, usually teachers. I think that's the majority. I wouldn't say the majority, but a lot of foreigners who come out here are involved in teaching jobs, ESL teaching jobs, usually at bushibans, cram schools, or in our case, private high schools. But that's not to say that there aren't job opportunities for other people. I know there are a few others, KT and her husband, they work for the U.S. military. Okay. And I think there's some other people who are out here on engineering contracts. There are some other people who are sports writers who do a lot of that industry, and other people who work for the government. We had a really good friend who was a diplomat, or he was involved with the U.S. government while he was out here before he moved to another place. I think he was out here for between 4 and 5 years, working for the U.S. government. But yeah, the majority of times when we see other people of color, it's usually teaching jobs.
Right.
Okay. Or, I mean, in our case, you know, bar owners.
Arts&Crafts.
Yeah, bar owners. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tell me one thing that you really love or that you really enjoy from your time living here in Taiwan. One thing about the culture or the society of people that really has impacted you positively.
Something that's impacted me positively is how malleable the Taiwanese people are. Really? This is something that we talked about a bit upstairs, talking about just getting more into our comfort zones. But Taiwanese people, I've learned that, number one, like when you come here as a foreigner, they're intrigued. They want to know more about you. And again, as a black man, sometimes that can come up, someone coming up and they want to ask you a bunch of questions, we get a little bit defensive. Yeah. But in Taiwan, I've learned that they're doing it out of curiosity, like out of genuine curiosity. And there have been times where that curiosity has erred on the side of something that was offensive. Yeah. But it's something that you can quickly correct. And again, the teacher in me, I see each one of these opportunities as a way of correcting someone and making an educational experience.
A teaching moment.
A teachable moment, right? So I say malleable because whenever I've taken the chance to make one of those teaching moments, I haven't been met with much backlash. And again, I do think that comes with a bit of just male privilege, because some other women have talked to me about trying to do the same thing, and they do get a lot more backlash for that. But again, like in my experience,
so when you have to correct people on certain things, and they explain to me a little bit more what you mean by that.
Okay, yeah. So you know, like one big thing, like black people, we have our hair, right? Yeah. My hair hasn't always been this long. When I first got my hair, I was rocking the fade. I just started growing my hair about a year and a half ago. So when my hair is out, like when I don't have braids or whatever, you know, I'm wearing my fro. It's big. Yeah. So people are like, it's new. It's something that people want to see. If I'm on the bus, obviously people are like, oh, I want to touch that. Yeah. Right. So you know, if I feel
someone touching you who doesn't know, never met you before in your life. Yeah. There's different ways that I think most people will react one particular way.
Like, defensively.
Get off. Would hit someone for like. And being an expat, being a foreigner, you have to learn to be different.
Yeah.
Learn to be like, okay, I'm not gonna hit this person.
Yeah, I'm not gonna respond this way, but I will respond this way.
Yeah.
Right. And I
So
just think, again,
what do you think is the proper response to something like that?
you tell someone no. Like, number one, if anyone touches you and you don't want them to touch you, you have every right to let them know that you are in my personal space. I don't want you to touch me.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes to something like that, like touching my hair out of curiosity, I always check and I always let someone know, like, number one, don't touch me because I don't know you. I didn't give you permission to access my person. Number two, especially don't touch someone else's hair, especially not my hair or another person of color's hair, because this is why. I understand you're curious, but if you are, you need to ask. Right? So it's a lesson in consent, just overall consent, but specifically when you do encounter a person who looks different than you because their hair is different, don't go up and touch someone's hair. So that's why I say malleable, because when I have had to correct those things, you know, check somebody on that, or like taking pictures of me on the MRT, or on the bus, or while I'm out, or even if we're out listening to music, or I might be at a club or something, and someone says the N-word next to me, I'll be like, hey, nah, you can't do this, right? Or if someone comes up to me, another spot, even if they're joking, they're like, yo, man, what's up? Something like that, I'm like, I don't talk like that.
I think most of the black people that have lived in Asia for a time has had those two particular experiences. You're in the club, and it's just like, people are repeating a song.
Yeah, they're repeating the song, yeah.
And it's like the N-word just comes up.
Yeah. So again, they're not saying it out of malice or whatever. They're doing it out of ignorance.
But which all of us have a problem with.
Yeah, we all have a problem with that. And again, even if they are doing it from an aggressive place, you know, I try to, as best as I can, compose myself and make it a teachable moment. And again, for the most part, I haven't been met with much backlash. And again, that could be a completely, you know, unique experience that I've had. Because again, I know other women who have complained about this, and they say, I try to do this, but they don't listen, or I'm met with this, or backhanded comments, or, you know, someone doing this, or it doesn't work. So then my experience is a little bit different. Again, it's because maybe I'm a black man, you know, so they're already intimidated. So, but no, like I said, malleable, because I think Taiwanese people are very malleable in their understanding and how much, at least in my experience, how much they're willing to learn and correct negative behaviors if you point it out to them.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say that is one thing that I do love about this place. Because I know when I was back home, because I was back in St. Louis for a month. You know, you might be out in the store, you might hear some comments. You try to check some other white person on it, they might have something to say back to you. I'm like, look, like, I'm telling you why I don't like this. You can either accept it and keep it moving, or we're gonna have problems, right? Right? You don't have that level of flexibility when it comes to that, or that level of understanding or mutual respect. But in Taiwan, I do feel that more, and I really love that about the Taiwanese people.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Plans for the future. Where do you see this enterprise going over the next couple of years?
Yeah.
What do you see happening, taking place?
So over the next couple of years, I see Arts&Crafts becoming a very popular bar in the Taichung area. Hopefully, we get to a point where we're able to expand. The location that we're in right now, I love it, but it'd be even better if we can move closer to the city, or even take it up to Taipei, or do another one in Taipei. Again, trying to franchise it, trying to do several locations. It's a lot that comes logistically, but that would be a goal that I would be interested in seeing in the future. Or maybe not even just Taipei, but like Kaohsiung, just to be able to focus more on local community, local art, local beers, local
promoting local culture.
Exactly, right? I would really love to see that take off. I mean, ideally with any business, you know, I want to be able to have a business, make money, and I don't have to be here all the time. So get it to a point where it's sustainable, where I can travel as often as I want to. I come back and check on things. Like the most that I do, like somebody calls me like, hey, we think about doing this? I'm like, yeah, cool, sounds good. Or nah, you should do this instead, or workshop this idea some more, and then hang up the phone and then go back to chilling on whatever beach I'm at, or whatever I happen to be doing at the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the ultimate goal. You know, I want to see the business be successful. Not just for my own sake, but for what I feel that this business model can bring to the communities that it's in. Right? It's a place where people can come in and they can workshop together. It's a safe place for people to come in and just hang out and be around people who look like them. For artists, it's a place where they know they can display their artworks. And for people who are just now getting into like brewing or distilling or something, it's a place where they can sell their product, or they can have someone who will come in and appreciate what they're having.
Okay. All right. Thank you for all that information.
No problem.
Yeah, you're really someone who loves adventures.
Yeah. I'm a very, I got my tattoos. Live adventurously is my motto.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other final thoughts? Anything you want to say? Comments you want to leave us with?
My only final thing that I would say is, don't be afraid. Live adventurously. And if you go to a bar, sit at the bar. You meet the best people at the bar.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
All right.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to get out of your bubble and see the world. Especially as Black people. We get very stuck in where we want
I
to be.
think a lot of us have a very segregated mentality. We confine ourselves too much to quadrant our spaces. Live adventurously.
Live adventurously. Get out there. You will be surprised at how willing the world is to accept you once you finally get out there. Right. It's very easy to be scared.
Yeah.
Right. It's very hard. It's very hard to be free. But once you do, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks for talking to me.
No
Black
problem.
Asian Magazine.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Let's go.